spirit speaking, truth seeking, heart reaching, knowledge leaking, seeds sowing, harvest reaping, man of neither means. I have yet to leave, I'm still breathing. To quit, I have no reason. I mean, I'm asleep, but I be trying to live my dreams. I cannot even act if it's all easy. Either you gon' do it or you don't. Really, it ain't no in between. Baby, you can ask the sun, it's an everyday thing. Consistency in your routine is how you bring reality. Working like a slave, that's how I made this masterpiece. Living like a god, I lay at night, I rest in peace. They remember me, but I am not Haram or beef.
Peace. Peace, love, and light, nobles. Happy holy day. Welcome back to another BBT Book Club reading. I'm your host, Noble Mufti Moso L. Gratitude for everybody tapping in on this beautiful Friday night. I'm going to play a little video from some of our sponsors before I get started.
I'm a spirit speaking, truth seeking, heart reaching, knowledge leaking, seeds sowing, harvest reaping, man of neither means. I have yet.
mypdfbooks.com. That's books with a Z.
Once again, this broadcast has been brought to you by mypdfbooks.com. That's books with a Z, where reading fundamental. Also brought to you by BINDEDBOOKS.com, where treasures are bound. Be sure to get all of your teas at My Son's Teas, the tea of teas, divinely prepared at herbsofmyaunt.com. Be sure to check out all of those musical stylings by Brian Hicks Spade at bhspademusic.com. For your everyday items and religious regalia, be sure to check out morrishaberdasher.com. And for that everyday especial Morris drip, be sure to check out moresachi.com. And all of these companies are powered by ALO Design Pros. Design your online business strategy today.
No such thing as failure, baby. Don't forget who made you. You can't be thinking minor when you need to be thinking major. They made you think they saved you, but it can't nobody save you.
Peace. Greetings. Welcome back again. Gratitude for all who've been tuning in and tapping in live. Gratitude Sheet, Noble Dre Sean, and all the muftis and members of the Burning Bush Tabernacle, Science Temple and School. Again, we are a book club, a brotherhood, a study group, and we welcome all light seekers of all nationalities, all creeds, all spiritual systems. We are a school of study, school of research, and this wisdom isn't a secret, it's sacred, and we continue to teach, to study, to offer a plethora of books through our nonprofit and through our organizations and our business, the Burning Bush Tabernacle. You can get a lot of these books from us personally. You send me your email. You can see it right there on the ticker, Herbs of Mayat at herbsofmayat.com, and you can get any of the books we've mentioned in the past. If you check out some of our old classes, some of our old book club readings, we offer books live. And we're so generous. Well, if you drop the word book in the chat live, your first book you'll get for free from us, because we really want people to have this wisdom. And we have a plethora, a vast library of all topics, from history to law to spirituality, religion, health, self-help, relationship help. Just so many topics, man. I mean, we can only go over so many in one sitting. But again, we have our sites, mypdfbooks.com. That's books with a Z. And we have BINDEDBOOKS.com So we welcome y'all to come check us out. Check out our check out our websites, MoorishHaberdasher.com if you're looking for any Moorish regalia, fezzes, kufis, turbans, bonnets. We have Moorish jewelry, ancient symbolism, Masonic regalia. And as our sheik always says, you can buy these items off Amazon, but why do you want to continue making Jeff Bezos and all those people rich? You want spiritual regalia from a true sheik, from a true shaman, from a medicine man who made sure they put their blessing on it, who made sure they put their divine protection on these pieces. As we know, we understand the spiritual and the physical, the national and the divine. So you want your fez with the proper preparations. And these fezzes come like that. The holes, the breathing holes, all have a spiritual symbolism. You can see the mundane ball. The tassels, even the length of the tassels, all these things have a meaning. You can learn from us if you come to our school. If you come to our classes, these are the things we study. Moorish science is not a religion. This is your heritage. This is your birthright. This is another fez, but as you can see, the tassel was pinned down on this one. A brother from West Africa gifted me this a few years ago, but I knew something was different about it. Because even though it's shorter than the one I'm wearing, and it's clearly the tassels are pinned down, and this one sways 360 degrees. And all these things have a spiritual and a physical meaning. And we welcome brothers and sisters to come learn, because this represents the woman. This represents the woman's womb, our nativity. And as we know, through enslavement and miseducation, we have been stripped and not respectful of our nationality, of our divine birthrights. As we know, the 3/5 clause that we study, but were you ever taught those last 2/5? And were you ever taught how to restore them? And those two are your nationality and your divine creed. And your divine creed is the spiritual system you use to get through day to day, to pray if you need to pray, to meditate, to pay homage to a greater being, to your creator. But we all need a spiritual system to fall back upon. And whether it's Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, Hinduism, Confucianism, Zoroastrianism, all these isms are a part of our ancient Moorish science. None of these are foreign spiritual systems. The modern versions of them have become traditional or orthodox, but it is not for every person to do things in an orthodox way. And that's something we have here at the Burning Bush Tabernacle. We teach you all the spiritual systems. That's what true Sufism is, what Moorish science is. Moorish science is not just a type of Islam, like the Nation of Islam, no disrespect, or Sunni or Shiite. These are all different houses of Islam, but they're branches of a tree. Sufism is the root. And that's what we're getting brothers and sisters to come back to. That's your divine fig tree. That's the cherry tree that George Washington cut down. That's why this fez is cherry red. You know, all this symbolism has a purpose. It's not just, it's an outward appreciation of something inner. You know, you don't have to wear a fez to have the knowledge. You don't have to always wear a turban to exude nobility. It's something you have to learn and earn and hold sacred, not secret. You know, we don't disrespect brothers of Masonry or Freemasonry, but you know, we embrace 720 degrees, 33 degrees, as we know, is freezing. Snowman wisdom, some people call it. But that was never the destiny for the Moorish American and for Moorish people around the world. But through enslavement and through Jim Crow, through the black codes, the black Christian codes, all these different science, all these different laws, and you know, I'll just say all these different laws and, you know, edicts, papal bulls, ever since the Spanish Inquisition, were put on the so-called black people to keep us in a perpetual system of second-class citizenship. And as we can see, even up till today, it's citizenship and nationality is still a hot topic and a big issue that people have to get right before they continue to suffer the ills of no nation. Because as we know, black is beautiful. We love black. It's a beautiful color. But it's not a nationality. Just like there's no red people, there's no white people, there's no green people or yellow. And some may say, yes, there are people who call themselves white, but ask that person you call white, do they know what nation they come from? Are they Greek? Are they German? Are they British? So it should be no problem with you calling yourself Moorish, because that was the oldest term that we used for ourselves. And you know, that's why we study. You know, we have a lot of books to offer. We have, starting with it's Holy Day, so the Moorish Holy Quran is part of these 101s that everyone needs to be studying and having. A lot of Moors reach out to us and they tell us they don't even have some of this literature in their house. It's, you know, we have these books as well on PDF, but we encourage you to print your own books out so you can write in them, keep notes. So when you do come to our study group and our classes that start in February, you'll have questions already in your books. You know, it's time to get back to a real scholarship. You don't have to attend university to be a scholar. The library is full of books. You have to build your own library, just like we build our closet full of clothing and shoes and pants, and suits. There's nothing wrong with having those things, but you should have just as many books as you have shoes. And you should, you know, hold those things sacred. Because this is for your family. This is for your children. This is for yourself, your wife, your girlfriend, your loved ones. You know, I make sure to talk to my family, my mother, my father, my aunts, my uncles about Moorish history. It's nothing radical about Moorish history. These are the missing pages of world history. And you don't want to go into your grave not embracing the great part of history that your people did beyond the 400 years of captivity in America and enslavement, because 400 years our people have been on top way longer than that. So it would be doing them a disservice to not study years before that. And even what Africans were doing during that time. You know, a lot of that history is labeled pirate history. You know, and it's been a lot of different terms for our people. Saracen, you know, Berber. And, you know, here at the BBT, we study etymology. We study the meaning of words. You know, words have a birthday. Words have a time where they were introduced into culture. That's why you can't put the word black beyond the 1800s, because that's when the word was created in the 1800s. You can't make a word retro. The word Moor transcends languages, just the spelling may be different. Moor, Mohr, Maur, Mohr. You know, so many different variations of the word Moor. This is not a word that we created in the Americas. This is the term that our people were calling themselves. There are even hieroglyphs with the word Moor. So it doesn't matter what spiritual house you come from. If you can appreciate scholarship and spirituality and nationality and divine creed, you'd want to tap in with us at the BBT Book Club, and coming soon to our classes for study group. Just to show you, I want to show some of the other books that we're going to be using in our group. Pull up. So these are some of the books that we're going to be offering for our private classes. As you can see, the Moorish Holy Quran, the SO Science Workbook, the Quranic Study Guide, Discover the Key to the Moorish Questionary, the Holy Bible, and along with a plethora of Sheikh's personal books that he wrote himself that compile all this wisdom into a digestible format. So our school here is something you should definitely value and appreciate and don't take lightly, because a lot of us have put years into this study. We're not just online Moors. We're not just online personas. We live real everyday lives. You know, we are not sovereign citizens. We don't subscribe to any of that type of information. Noble Drew Ali did not teach that information. We are a spiritual brotherhood, nonprofit, brotherhood and sisterhood. And, you know, we study. We're not about, you know, any of the goofy stuff you might see about more science online. We're not about that. And that might be a reason why we don't get a lot of, you know, traffic. But we're going to keep continuing this information because we know it's needed for the children, for the adults, and for whoever has their first eye open. So again, some of these other books, like I said, the SO Science Workbook. This is for the Moorish Holy Quran. And it just breaks down every chapter in the Moorish Quran. It goes through different words. And it breaks down some history. So this is a must-have book that you're going to have if you join our school in classes. Another book, a must-have book, is the state booklet. This is the Holy Nation State booklet of the Moorish Science Temple. And it breaks down all the things that Noble Drew Ali brought and all the things he did not teach. Because, earlier today I was listening to a one document that we have that just talks about the history of the Moorish Science Temple, the history of the Nation of Islam, the history of a lot of these, prophets and sages of the Americas. And there was always hatred. There was always infighting of a lot of these brothers, a lot of these groups. Just like today, they had all these splinter groups. It's all these different temples. It was brothers saying they were the reincarnation of Noble Drew Ali. It was brothers who were seen in photos in Noble Drew Ali's temple. Yet as soon as Noble Drew Ali dies, they're saying that they're his reincarnation and that they are the prophet reincarnated, and all this messy information, which has fragmented the Moorish science movement. And that's why we're here as the Burning Bush Tabernacle, to bring brothers and sisters together, again, under one vine and fig tree. We're not telling you to drop whatever spiritual system you've used or what house you came through, because that's what made you. We're here to encourage you to continue your studies and give you the documents to really build your library. Again, I really encourage everyone to visit mypdfbooks.com and bindedbooks.com. And if you want some herbal teas to go with your books, check me out at herbsofmayat.com. We have, we're an in-house brotherhood and sisterhood. And we want people to have these documents and this literature. We sell these, we offer these for a fraction. We ask just for a small donation. We offer them for a fraction of the price you'll see on Amazon and different sites. So I definitely encourage brothers and sisters to reach out, email us, DM us on social media, and get these books, because you want to build your library. You definitely want to build it. So another book I have here is, we were saying, one of Sheikh's books, Sufism and the Triple Rows of the Adept Chamber. Y'all can see it. Sufism and the Triple Rows of the Adept Chamber. Let me put a picture of it up. Right here. This is a must-have book. And those who don't know, the Triple Rows is the three major religions, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. Also known as the Fatimid Order, the Order of the Jerusalem, and the Order of the Paraclete. And these are the 3 degrees that all Master Masons and Adepts understand and study. So you definitely want to have this one in your library. The second one is Moorish Americans, Light of Ali. This is another great book written by the Sheikh. Moorish Adept Study Guide, The House of Ali Mysticism. It just breaks down a lot of history of, like I said, the founding of the Moorish science in America, Islam. Even breaks down a lot of Europeans who followed the path of Islam and Moorish science and became Muslims and took the pilgrimage to Mecca. But as we know, Mecca is not one Mecca. You don't have people get tied into running to the Arabia. But Mecca can be wherever your prophet landed. If you have a prophet bringing you a divine message in your land, then that's your Mecca. You don't have to pilgrimage to another culture's Mecca, because that would defeat the purpose. But again, this is one of the few books I encourage you all to reach out to us about. Another one is The Esoteric Science of the Moorish Fez. This is a great must-have book. It's breaking down the origins of the Fez, where it comes from, as I was saying earlier, what the color means, what the tassels mean, what the mundane ball means. All these things have a high spiritual meaning beyond just fashion. A lot of our people have gotten hypnotized into just wearing cultural things like turbans and things just for fashion. And that's beautiful, but it's also missing the point of why we wear these things. We wear these things as an outward appreciation. We wear these things, as a nonverbal communicator, just like a Jewish brother wears his yarmulke. He plays basketball in his yarmulke. You see little children with their yarmulke and tassels. So, if that's so important to those people, and we know that culture came from our people, there's no reason why we shouldn't be proud to wear kufis, wear fezzes, wear turbans in public, in the workplace. It's nothing radical about announcing who you are for the record. I promise you, every person of European descent, white person that I've ever spoke to about being a Moor and Moorish history, they've never challenged it or looked at me funny. It was always my own people who would always challenge the heritage, or people from Africa who would challenge, why are you calling yourself a Moor? What, it's always your own people who want to go against the grain, per se. But as I said, Europeans, mostly, they've traveled around the world. They've been to Asia. They've been to Europe. They've been to Morocco. A lot of our people haven't had the privilege to go out the country and understand that this history, never went anywhere. It's just through the transatlantic slave trade and the Spanish Inquisition that this history was, it was just taught incorrectly, I would say. And again, that's why I said here at the Burning Bush Tabernacle, we welcome brothers to come in who may be confused, who may be looking for other sources, who may just want to dialogue. You can't just sit in your four corner room staring at candles all night. You got to dialogue with brothers and sisters, and find sense in the history, find sense in the spiritual system. Another great book that we offer here is called The Exhuming of a Nation. This is a must-have book. It was gathered and compiled by Brother Mealy Ill. Excuse me, I'm trying to take this banner off. It's definitely a must-have book. And you check with the price on this book on Amazon, and we offer it to y'all for a fraction of a price. This book is very rare and hard to get, but it's full of all the information you would need to, understand Moorish science better, understand the black codes, understand. Matter of fact, I'm gonna read some of the preface in here. And this book breaks down, who is Noble Drew Ali? In reality, what is a Negro? The machination of a hidden nation. Talks about the esoteric truth about competition, Freemasonry and the Illuminati, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. Breaks down the history of Christmas, the atrocities of the single mom, food for a pure and clean nation, the third eye, Adam and Eve, the ancient Moorish history, 4 Moorish parables, the finale of religious controversy, the prophecies and hadiths of Noble Drew Ali, the ancient use of Moorish tools, the Moorish American flag, seal, and emblem with symbols and prophetic signs of the times, and the diplomatic notice for Moorish Americans to President Bush. So this is definitely a must-have book. Definitely encourage everyone to reach out to us for this book. We have this on PDF or physical copy. Just email me at herbsofmayat@herbsofmayat.com, and I would gladly get you a copy of this book. This is definitely a book you would want for your studies. Let's see how many pages it is. 200, 600, about 600, almost 700 pages, this book. So you really don't want to be walking around with this book. It would be greater to get it PDF from us so you can study along and have notes, have questions. Because I promise you, just getting a fez and a turban and kufi doesn't always make you a full Muslim. You still have to study. You still have to meditate. You still have to ponder on the truth of these books and this wisdom. As I said, this is a great book. Breaks down what the Ma'afa is. It says in the African language of Swahili, there is a word, Ma'afa, which means the great suffering. The difference between slavery and Ma'afa rests in the circumference absorbed by their meanings. Ma'afa takes into account the millions of African families, tribes, and nations still suffering the loss of their members and citizens, disappeared through the western doors of no return. It holds reverence to those prematurely fertilized to the earth or perished during the Atlantic voyage and the slave-breaking islands, Central and South America. More importantly, Ma'afa includes both the institutional wolf of slavery in its current legalized sheepskin suffrage of the 14th and the 15th Amendments of the United States Constitution. The great suffering extends from the conscious fall of man in the Garden of Eden to the Cometian 300 BC invasion by Alexander the Greek, into the return of the gods and goddesses to the Mexam kingdom of heaven. Ma'afa is ongoing until all cells are free. Ma'afa is an African attribute which reveals her total known and unknown demise under the iron hand oppression of the pale-skinned nations of Europe, which they politely call slavery. This is also the reason why politically correct African Americans and their white counterparts dread or avoid dialogue to the advent of slavery. The word, his word, does not hold the total truth of the experience by any stretch of fact or imagination. However, for the sake of understanding and its ultimate lawful demise, the word slavery shall be mostly used throughout this text. Drew Ali used the word for the same purposes. Since this biography has the magnanimous goal of exhuming a nation, it will readily use the language at hand. But every time the word slavery is used, the author is thinking Ma'afa. Now, a reader is a reader because their main objective is to get into or otherwise read the mind of the author. And so this is just breaking down that word, M-A-A-F-A, Ma'afa. It's a Swahili word. It means the great suffrage. And if you don't know, Swahili is a language spoken in East Africa. And yes, we've learned much about the West African slave trade, yet we need to learn as much as we can about the East African slave trade and the North African slave trade, because all those regions were affected in a similar fashion, and our bloodlines go to all those parts of Africa as well. I'll just read a little bit more of this because it's just important pre-glossary words like Allah in Arabic means the great God. And in more science, we know Allah means arm, leg, arm, head. Also, the author and sustainer of all worlds, seen and unseen. The creator of man in his likeness and after his image. The father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. The spirit of protection and guidance. Spirit infinite Spirit infinite thought, truth, most gracious, most merciful. The God of Adam, Abraham, Moses, and all the prophets, saints, Christ, angels, and man. The one God that Yeshua called our Father. And as we know, even in Hebrew, one of the oldest names and the oldest name for God was Allah. So this is not just unique to Islam. And another important word it breaks down is NBC, which means Negroes, Blacks, and colored people. NBC, which also includes Belawians, African Americans, and other denationalized Moors, etc. This is an abbreviation used throughout the book and will be referring to the legal and official slave names that were given to the Moorish from northwest and southwestern shores of Africa after they were denationalized during European-controlled Miafa. NBCs are not free national identities, but identify property and are mere misnomers used instead of nationality. NBC are mere subhuman differences in support of civil and political disunification among an enslaved people. And so these are some of the plain reasons why you should reclaim a nationality. You have a right to nationality and a right to claim it. You have the rights of indigenous people. There are a lot of laws and protections that we have that you cannot get calling yourself a color. You cannot get calling yourself a Negro, because there's no place Negroes come from, just like there's no place the sardine comes from. And this book beautifully breaks down so much regarding slavery, the 14th Amendment. I'll read this part right here. It says, Noble Drew Ali spoke often of slavery. Mostly, he spoke of the two kinds and two types of slavery in the U.S. The time of legal slavery, which was 1779 to 1865, and the time of mental slavery from 1868 that you have up until now. Today, the European descendants of former slave owners strategically avoid dialogue of slave issues with descendants of slaves. For the better part, most American minds fear massive overloads of anxiety whenever this subject matter appears. In fact, most modern Americans rather for slavery to just go away. It is in the past. Let it die. I had nothing to do with it. What's done is done. Can't change the past. What slavery got to do with me? Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. Things are better for Black people because they are citizens and can vote. There is no slavery in America today. Really? None of the above is true. The only true reason slavery will not go away is because the spirit of slavery is deeply rooted in the supreme laws of the United States of America. This is why the land of the free is also the home of the slave. Truth is, the Negro, Black, and colored people are only made in America. Nothing created can know freedom until it lives in the perfect state of self. Therefore, the complete enslavement of the African people born in America will never go away until they are completely free to be themselves. The contents of this book will bring into light hundreds of little-known historical facts, secrets held by death oaths, and truths revealed in their due touch of time. Most of these will be centered upon planes of slavery unraveled by the professional and general public at large. The reader will travel from behind the scenes of the governments and religious empires of Moorish enslavement to the death of the Negro, colored folks, and black people of 1865, through the fabricated African American citizen and the 135-year-old nation held hostage by the United States. There will be certain points of enlightenment that may be determined as highly sensitive, painful, or disruptive to some readers and members of sympathetic entities. Some topics may be received with a range of passion, from inflamed hatred to the plains of acknowledgeable joys that come with enlightenment. The light switched on by truth will intrigue the seeker and temporarily blind the sleeper. Equally so, the book is written for all from a heart of love divine. The love for myself, God, prophet, human beings, and the earth is the fiber from which my words derive. I have no hatred or malice toward anything or anyone made by the great God. As forestated, I am a free man, and no man is truly liberated until he is realized consciousness, love. This biography is written in honor of a true holy man who was divinely prepared to lead his buried nation upon the straightaway from darkness into the marvelous light. The emphasis of these writings is on the uncovering of the nation and not the dirt which buries it. The author will be expounding a laymanizing the life, works, and teachings of Noble Drew Ali. There have been, as is today, many religious, governments, and organizations, educational, social, and scientific structures used to bury this nation. The words of this book are not intended to offend any of these entities or the people, which use them to seal the nation away from its rightful place in the human family. Indeed, these men were only fulfilling a 2,000-year prophecy of satanic rule that was ordained to shade the light from the consciousness of fallen humanity. But this is a new era of time now, and those who have been enslaved by deception, lies, falsehood, can be freed from this system of mental incarceration. As Yeshua, love, told his cousin, John, purity, the truth will make you free. Those feelings, rituals, customs, systems, and habits that are hurt by these written words and written works should know the pride of emptiness is an abomination. If they are being emotionally or politically shifted, it is purely because an entire nation is being exhumed from beneath them. The focus is strictly on the body of the nation, which is buried there, and not the people, laws, and events that envelop them. Since this nation is virtually unheard of and unrecognized, there are some questions arising which demand sound judicial answers. And I'll read them and we'll end this book club. It says, what kind of nation is it? What is the origin of this nation? What buried the nation and why? What is the Constitution? Principles, seals, flag? Where is its land? What is the name of this nation? Who are the blood national relatives? What is the prophetic future? etc. How many citizens in its census? The answers to the questions and thousands more will be answered within the annals of this book, The Exhuming of a Nation. This book is about a clean and pure nation, the unclaimed people, which Nobuju Ali and Allah alone proclaimed as Moorish Americans. So again, this is the must-have book, Exhuming of a Nation. You can get this book directly from myself. You can email me at herbsofmayat@herbsofmayat.com. Right there, bottom on that yellow ticker, herbsofmayat@herbsofmayat.com. And again, we offer this book and a plethora of other Moorish spiritual study material, history. You know, we have so much, we can't touch on them all at one time, but this is one of the sites. You want to browse some of the catalog, My PDF Books with a Z. We encourage you to check us out. See some of the amazing topics that we have that you can't find anywhere else. And if you need any Moorish regalia, fezzes, turbans, kufis, jewelry, suits, bow ties, glasses, you want to check out MoorishHaberdasher.com. It's where I get all my regalia, all my suits from. It's a one-stop shop. You know, I got workout gear on there, Agelani. We have another family brand on there. You definitely want to check out our workout gear. I even have a lot of Mayat Sons gear on there, a few pieces. I mean, we welcome you all to tap in with us. Again, if you're looking for any herbal teas, any books on healing and health, I go by the name Mayat Sons on Instagram. Herbs of Mayat is the website. If you're looking for a physical copy of any book, check us out at BINDEDBOOKS.com. We in-house print and bind these books ourselves. We also have Moorisachi. If you're looking for any Moorish regalia, Moorish drip inspired by the Renaissance, it goes with this book right here, Russian Icons, another book we offer. Russian Icons is a must-have book showing different images of Christ, different biblical images before they were totally whitewashed. You know, images of, you know, the people of the Holy Land. I'll show a few other books that I personally want people to tap into also. This is another book, African Presence in Early Asia. It's a must-have book too. This is by Renoko Rashidi, co-edited by Ivan Van Sertima. And he breaks down the Moorish legacy in Asia. So, my background is history. I got my bachelor's degree at Delaware State University. I've traveled to West Africa, South Africa in my college years and continue to do the studies on history, on heritage, on religion, the etymology of names and terms that our people have been called over the years has been a great way for them to disassociate us from our roots. It wasn't done unintentionally. But more is definitely something that our people were and are. And this is the final book I'll mention. This is The Golden Age of the Moors. Another must-have book, edited by Ivan van Sertima, who gave his life in the studies of our ancient ancestry. As again, the Moors were on all four corners of the earth. The ocean was called Moor at one time. So I mean, it's so much to learn and embrace with understanding the Moorish legacy. We have a plethora of other books on the Moorish paradigm. We have all these Moorish paradigm books. I definitely want, I want people to get these, man. The Moorish paradigms from 1 to 13, written by the great scholar Hakim Bey. Moorish paradigm. If you really want a true books to really get your library up. These are series of books in that case. And lastly, I'll mention is this book right here. The History of Muslims in the Americas. Because that's really been our own personal fault, in my opinion, is we've been only programmed with a American Christian history. If there's Islamic history, there's Hebrew history, there's Phoenician history. There's a lot of cultures who came to the Americas in the 1700s, 1600s, and centuries before, with Mansa Musa, Alonso Pedro Nino. A lot of Moorish explorers and navigators came to the Americas, some with Europeans, some with their own caravans. But you have to get out of the mindset that Moorish or people of African descent can't travel alone, because our people definitely did make voyages and travel the world. We were the first seafaring nations. But with that, I appreciate everybody for tapping in, all my brothers. Again, we are the Burning Bush Tabernacle, Science Temple and School. We welcome you to our classes. We welcome you to our study groups. And I really hope you all value what we're bringing to the table. And again, drop the word book in the chat. If you drop the word book in this live chat, send me your email. I'll gladly get you a free copy of one of these books. We have so much literature to share. It'll be my pleasure. My plum and a pleasure to get a brother one of these books, a sister one of these books, and get to studying, get to enlightening your family, enlightening yourself. Wisdom is meant to be shared. When you turn on a flashlight, you don't hide it underneath the covers. You put it out in the open to illuminate full view of what you want to see to your next destination. And that's what these books do. They're a bridge to a higher level of education, a higher level of dialogue, but coming from a place of love. You know, it's not talking to people with hate in your heart, with hate of history of what you think someone's ancestors did. All nations have been enslaved. The word slave doesn't come from Africa. The word slave comes from Slavic, Czechoslovakia, Slovenia. You know, these places, some of these places had to sell their own people because that was all they had at one point. We know our people, though we might not have had money, we were born in the Garden of Eden. We were born in places of wealth, of riches, of fruit, vegetables, spices. That's why the Moors brought those things to other nations around the world. And we're doing it today as well with all the trades and businesses that we do personally. This is not something in the distant past. We are still the direct descendants of these people. So again, gratitude, Noble Brian, Noble Drayshawn, and Sheep, everybody for jumping on. Yeah, as we do, you know, every Saturday and Sunday, we welcome brothers and sisters to come to class, work out with us. We have a workout class, 12 noon, or 11 o'clock noon, 11 o'clock Eastern time, We welcome people to tap in with us, sweat with us. You know, the mind, body, and spirit must agree as one. I'll put these books up again if y'all want to see. These again, if you want to join our study groups, these are the books that you'll be getting for a small donation. And again, we're going to be starting classes end of February. So we welcome all brothers and sisters to tap in with us. Because we will be starting these classes and you don't want to miss it. But with no further ado, peace, love, and light, nobles and empresses. Until
I'm a spirit speaking, truth seeking, heart reaching, knowledge leaking, seeds sowing, harvest reaping, man of meager means. I have yet to leave, I'm still breathing. To quit, I have no reason. I mean, I'm asleep, but I be trying to live my dreams. I cannot even act if it's all easy. Either you gon' do it or you don't. Really, it ain't no in between. Baby, you can ask the sun, it's an everyday thing. Consistency in your routine is how you bring reality. Working like a slave, that's how I made this masterpiece. Living like a god, I lay at night, I